where do we gain the desire and where do we gain the actual motivation to gain motivation? And, the reason I say it like that and the reason I question it like that is because that's the reality. We kind of have this motivation to question our own motivation instead of just simply starting. So we're going to get in on more of this once we come back from this.
And who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat.
Welcome back to the Winter Arc Podcast. My name is Grant Ace, and this podcast is mostly my daily journals of just like how my days are going and how I'm staying motivated, how I'm staying productive, as well as just my thoughts about productivity and motivation in general. But yesterday I wasn't able to come out with an episode because I had to just take a break and just really take a moment in silence, especially with the events that transpired yesterday with the death of Charlie Kirk, Christian and conservative spokesperson or political spokesperson. He was just an inspiration for a lot of different people, including myself, honestly. And whether you agreed with him or whether you didn't, I just simply had to take a moment and just think about the fact of how did this country and how did we all end up at this place? And, there's been countless attacks of violence throughout the nation in the past just 36 hours, 48 hours. You've had the school shooting in Colorado. You've had the Ukrainian woman stabbed on the subway and killed. And you have just had all of these different things. Even this year with Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark Hortman, she was a representative in the state house of Minnesota. But I guess it's just sad to think that our country has just become this much of a cesspool. And I just really want to stress the importance of this. And again, this isn't a political podcast, but I just really want to stress the importance of let us be mindful of how we engage our fellow countrymen in debate. And because at the end of the day, Charlie Kirk was sharing a message of open debate and love and of just a Christian worldview that really valued free speech and really valued the life of every single person. And he never was demeaning, he never was hateful, and he always was willing to hear the other side out. And he was always willing to have an open discussion with them. And, as I said, I wasn't going to make this podcast political at all, and I don't really intend to even in the future. This isn't a political podcast, but I just thought I would just give my thoughts in general about this because at the end of the day, it's just sad that we as a nation have come to this point, and we have to ask ourselves, are we going to continue to be part of the problem and spread seeds of hate, or are we going to really love our countrymen and our fellow American and realize that, a house that stands against itself cannot stand? And it's just the fact that are we going to be people of hate or are we going to be people of understanding and people of love? Because, I believe that there is a proper place and a proper time for political speech and for discourse and for debate, but it is never okay to demean another human being. And it is never okay to use violence as an answer. Because guess what? Violence breeds violence. It does not solve any issues whatsoever. And that goes for both sides. No matter what context, it never actually solves the issue. But yeah, I just wanted to give my thoughts there and just because that's the whole reason why I didn't want to make an episode yesterday, because I just had a lot of introspection within myself and just within the fact of where our country is and where it's going. But back to the topic of this episode, I wanted to talk about how motivation breeds motivation. What do I mean by that? Is really funny. Right before I recorded this podcast, I'm pretty sure you've or at least seen her in some way, shape, or form on TikTok or Instagram. But Grandma Bibbins, even though this is kind of comedic and even though this isn't accurate at all of the real world, but it's just a comedic joke that she made. But she basically says, if you're having a hard time to get motivation, realize that broke crackheads still find a way to get crack. And it's just a comedic reminder of the fact that your motivation only comes from your desire to have motivation. It sounds like a circling like thing of nonsense, but it's just true. And like, so like a good example is this, right? If you have a desire, your desire has to outweigh what you attend to in your distractions. So a good example would be like maybe you attend to like scrolling on your phone mindlessly, right? Like you think and you really believe that you're going to actually miss a moment, miss something in the news, miss something whenever. But you need to realize this, that guess what? Even if you did miss something huge, like maybe you missed something massive in the news, right? You still would see it later. You're not going to miss anything. You're not going to miss anything, and you're not going to find something that's more funnier or that something that will like literally change your life. Because guess what? It's social media and it's media, and it's literally this thing that you're addicted to because you believe while you're scrolling like, oh, maybe the next video is going to be funnier. Maybe the next video is going to be more inspirational. Maybe the next video I'll learn something new. But guess what? There's only a surface level attention span that can last until you're finally like just mindlessly in doom scrolling. And that's what doom scrolling really like does. It makes you feel like you got nothing done. It makes you feel depressed. It makes you feel like it makes you feel like that you have no direction in your life. And that's just the truth about doom scrolling. Like you aren't missing anything if you don't scroll. And so I think that the thing that happens is that you get to a point where you realize like, I'm not happy doom scrolling, or I'm not happy scrolling on my phone mindlessly. So what begins to happen within yourself is you begin to desire something better than scrolling, something better than just mindlessly looking up stuff, something better than XYZ, whatever it may be. Maybe you don't struggle with scrolling on your phone and doom scrolling, but maybe it's something else. Maybe it's worry, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's fear, maybe it's like literally addiction. I don't know. I don't know your story. I don't know you, but the whole point is that there are things that are distracting you. There are things that are going to distract your desire for motivation. And so for the things that you attend to, are you going to let them outweigh your motivation? And if so, then you need to realize that you do not have the desire to have motivation. And so how do you begin to desire? Well, for me, I'm going to pray about it as a Christian, I'm going to actually seek God because, if it is something good and if it is something that God wants me to focus on and something that God wants me to build within myself, especially like maybe it's like more of a prayer life, more of a realization or more of an awareness of his presence, for instance, right? God's going to enable me and grace me to be able to gain the motivation to want to have a better prayer life, to have better motivation in my daily life, to be a better husband, to be a better friend, to be a better brother, to be a better coworker. And so what happens though is that when we begin to desire good things and when we begin to desire things that are actually building us and others up, guess what happens? Guess what begins to happen? We actually begin to change because our desire to change and our desire to surrender to God outweighs everything else in our life. And that's just a fact. And I think that's where our motivation lies. That's where reality lies. Our reality isn't on our phone. Our reality isn't in this meta universe. And I don't mean meta, the company. I just mean meta in terms of we think that social media is real life. We think that media online is more real than real life, but it's just not. And the reality is that your reality is playing out in front of you, whether you're missing it or whether you're actually desiring to make your reality better. And so I would challenge you to find your motivation and to find the desire for your motivation. Because guess what? You're never going to change unless you have the desire to change, unless you have the desire to actually gain motivation to do good things that are going to make you into the person that obviously God wants you to be and obviously the person that you are meant to be. Because this is why like the podcast motto says, where productivity leads to calling, because in your productivity and in your consistency each and every single day of your life, in your personal life and in your spiritual walk and in your, even your job, even your 9-to-5 job, and whether or not you have a 9-to-5 job or even in your business, you begin to actually mentally change the way you view life and reality. And you begin to see more things and become more aware of what God's trying to do in your life and become more aware of everything happening around you. So that's what my challenge would be. Try to find your motivation and ask God for it, because I cannot honestly give you a good opinion on how to search for motivation any which way, because there are countless books, there's countless self-help articles in the secular world that try to help you build motivation, that try to help you realize productivity and realize how you can apply productivity in your daily and personal life. But at the end of the day, it's going to be only through God. God can only give you good desires. And so if you want something good in your life, you have to chase the one who is good. I really hope that you guys gained a idea of how you can begin to apply this challenge in your life, of how you can seek motivation and seek the things that God wants for you in your daily life. And I hope that that actually speaks to who you are and what you're struggling with, or what you're trying to go through, and the habits you're trying to break or the habits you're trying to make. So have a great day, and I will see you, or you will rather hear me, tomorrow. Adios.